Namaste, namaste, and welcome to Monday Morning Yoga. And today we are continuing our focus on our core and thinking about ways to draw on the strength of the core whilst also mobilizing the areas around that are in support. So things like mobilizing through the spine, the shoulders, and the hips as well. Today's practice will probably require one or two of these blocks. Particularly when we're doing our lunges and we're doing some gate pose. And I've got a little something to pop under my knee that's on the floor for those practices too. A folded blanket or a second mat across your first mat can sometimes be a useful thing. During the course of this practice, we will come to work on the long side of your mat as well. So I will have to do some things facing this way and some things facing that way. You might want to angle your screen just ever so slightly to the right-hand side of your mat. We're going to start just sitting and bringing ourselves to center. So finding a comfortable position, it doesn't matter what it is. Feeling the parts of the body that are on the floor and allowing those to provide the foundation from which you can gently lift the body tall. Relaxing the shoulders. See if you can soften across the features of the face or give yourself a gentle smile, which will have the same effect. And then either gazing downward or closing the eyes and just taking a moment to experience some stillness after what I'm sure has been a busy morning or day so far. Check in with how your body feels in this moment. Any areas of aches or pains, stiffness or tension, they're usually the most vocal, the loudest voices that we hear when we listen to our bodies. So just observing those areas that perhaps need a little extra care or attention or compassion during our practice. Notice at least one part of the body that feels peaceful, quiet, and at ease. Sometimes the very act of just noticing that quiet in the body helps to soften other areas of the body as well. See if you can allow your forehead to soften, the area around your eyes, your tongue, your jaw, your shoulders. Make note of any thoughts that are particularly at the front of your mind. And just notice how you feel in this moment. Whether you feel contented, tranquil, happy, frustrated, angry, impatient. Whatever it is, there's no judgment in our observations. We are simply noticing so we can notice if there is change, if there is an effect from our practice. Draw your awareness to your breath, noticing your natural, spontaneous breath. The gentle ebb and flow of the breath, your natural rhythm, the movement of the breath, the sensation of your breath. When you feel ready, you can gently deepen your breath, breathing deeply into the sides of the body, the back and the chest, and allowing your breath to leave the body a little slower and steadier, gently engaging across your navel, your belly muscles to exhale more fully, to draw that part of the body in and help the breath leave the body. Soft in the belly to breathe into the shoulder blades, the rib cage, the collarbones. Slow, steady exhalations, engaging across the belly to exhale completely. As you breathe in this way, focus on the movements you feel in the back of your body. The back of the lungs is where we have most of the alveoli that exchange oxygen with our bloodstream. So moving the breath into the back of the body can be a really useful thing to develop. Keep breathing in this way. Charging the body with prana, focusing the mind on this task of breathing. On your next exhalation, maybe sighing out through the mouth. And then you can gently blink your eyes open. Just while we're sitting here, if you have been sitting cross-legged, perhaps just making your legs the opposite way round. We'll do a few neck movements before we start because it's helpful to be in a steady position for making those movements. So we'll just start by sitting as tall as we can and gently turning to look over the left shoulder and then returning to center and turning to look over the right shoulder. And we're moving in a steady fashion. So the movement is almost continuous from side to side, not pushing through any resistance we feel or find in the body, but simply keeping a nice, steady, supported movement. The next time your head comes back to center, we'll take the left ear to the left shoulder. And then coming up, the side bending to the right. Just beginning to feel the sensations down the sides of the neck, maybe into the chest and the upper back. Next time your head goes to your left side, you can gently drop your right shoulder down and maybe press your palm towards the floor, maybe even reach your fingertips for the floor as well. Here, if it feels like you've got a nice stretch and you have no experiences of odd sensations or discomfort, you can gently lift your chin and lower your chin. A gentle lift, a gentle lower. Let's do one more. Gentle lift, gentle lower. And this time, as you lower your chin, bring your head to center, relaxing the right arm and then lifting the head to its neutral position. Taking the right ear to the right shoulder. Just thinking about whether you need a bit more. If you need a bit more, pressing the left palm or fingertips towards the floor, letting that left shoulder move down. If there's no odd sensation or discomfort, you can gently lift your chin and lower your chin. A gentle lift, a gentle lower, or simply hold the side bend. Gentle lift, gentle lower, and this time lowering the chin all the way to the center of the chest, relaxing the left arm and bringing the head back to an upright position. We're just going to go up and down a couple of times. So from your lifted, centered position, chin to chest, give yourself a gentle smile, and then raising your head, bottom teeth over top teeth, and lifting the chin up. Holding just for a moment to feel that real openness across the front of the chest. And then coming back to neutral, relaxing the position of the mouth to its normal bit, maybe wiggling the bottom jaw from side to side. Doesn't need to be vigorous, just nice and gentle. And then chin to chest one more time. Here, if it feels comfortable, you can slightly slide your shoulders back, maybe slide your hands towards your hips. And then raising your head to a neutral spot, bottom teeth over top teeth, shoulders a bit more relaxed, and then lifting the chin up. Try not to hold your breath. And when you're ready, back to center. Just give yourself a little movement of the head and the shoulders so that you can loosen off any tension from doing that. And this time we're going to stick the tongue out and wiggle it from side to side. So we did the jaw already, which is quite nice. I do that quite often through the day. This time we're going to stick the tongue out and wiggle it from side to side. And laugh if you need to. And then you can relax your tongue. Take a deep swallow and then see if that just helps to loosen off any tension around the jaw. We're going to roll the shoulders a little bit more, just a few times. When we come to doing our hands and knees, we're going to do these shoulder rolls on our hands and knees as well. So just having a focus as you roll the opposite way as well, of how it feels to move the shoulders in this upright position. We want to feel the same sorts of movements when we're on our hands and knees as well. When you're ready, you can come back to center. We're going to take the hands out in front of us, spread the hands, fingers wide apart as you can, and then take the thumbs into the palms and wrap the fingers around. Let's do a couple more of these. Breathing in as you spread the fingers apart, breathing out as the thumbs come in and the fingers wrap around. You can give your thumbs a bit of a squeeze if it feels good. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. With the hands in these fists, we're going to roll the wrists. And you might feel that gentle sense of length across the backs of the wrists. I find this is a really lovely, lovely stretch. Let's roll the opposite way as well. Very good. And then we're going to open the fingers nice and wide, and we're just going to point the fingers down, point the fingers up, point the fingers down, point the fingers up. Try to move from the wrist if you can. Your arms don't need to be so lifted. I'm doing that so because down here you can't see my fingers against the background. So just moving into a place that feels good for your shoulders. And then we're going to bring the palms together in front of the body. Drop the elbows down a little bit, soften the shoulders, make any movements that you need to release, and then rolling the backs of the hands and then the palms of the hands together. So we're just making this beautiful movement through the wrists, through the forearms, the elbows, and there's some small movement in the shoulders here as well. When you're ready, going the opposite way as well, lubricating those wrist joints, just easing perhaps any unknown tensions, the ones that you have not been aware of. Very good. Relaxing the hands, giving them a little bit of a shake. And then we're just going to do a few more shoulder rolls. So fingertips onto shoulders or towards the chest, drawing the elbows towards you and up, or sorry, towards the front, towards each other and up, and shoulder blades back and down. Giving yourself this lovely full movement through the shoulders. If you've got one shoulder that behaves differently from the other, then I recommend doing one at a time, because then you can allow your stronger shoulder or your more mobile shoulder to really experience its full range of movement, and then your less strong or less mobile shoulder to not feel that you have to press through any tension or resistance in the body to get to its full range of movement. When you're ready, we're going in the opposite direction. So bring the elbows together in front and then down, and then shoulder blades towards each other behind the body. If you like, you can move your head a little so that your neck doesn't feel rigid or resists the movement. It just moves naturally with your body. One more in this direction. And then allowing the arms to rest down to the side, just giving the shoulders a touch of a shrug. We'll do a touch of twisting here as well. We're going to take the arms nice and wide, feel a lift through the center of the body, and just simply twist to the right and then twist to the left. We don't need to get anywhere in particular, just beginning to explore this type of movement. Twisting to one side And then the other, we'll do one more to each side, trying to sit as upright as possible. And then in the center, free your legs if they're crossed to cross the opposite way. And then we'll do a little bit more twisting. So still twisting, but with the legs the opposite way. If you're not sitting cross-legged, it doesn't matter. You can just carry on twisting. We'll do one more to each side. And then here in the center, a little side bending to the right and to the left. And we're just beginning to find our way here into a side bend, so you don't need to reach to any particular point, but feeling what's going on in the sides of the body. If it feels natural for your left hip to lift as you go to the right, then you can allow that to happen, and vice versa. If you feel able to move into your side bend in a centered way, that's great too. The next time you come to your right, we're just going to hang out there and pulse gently to the right. And then keeping the shoulders nice and relaxed, and lift through the belly, rolling the left shoulder back so to open your chest towards the ceiling, and then rolling the left shoulder forward, a little backwards and forwards. Just that spiraling sensation through the body. We're going to reach the left hand across the body, so we come into a gentle sort of forward sitting position, rolling the shoulder blades towards each other, lifting the chest, opening your heart towards the front, and then maybe a little sway of the chest from side to side. If it feels more natural just to lean forward, that's fine. Keep stillness here if you prefer it. You don't have to get very far into this either. You can be much more upright. Wherever your body naturally goes to is the right place. If you feel like you've got a bit more room to move, particularly if you draw your belly muscles inwards and upwards, you might like to do a touch of a forward bend here. We don't want to hang out too long here because we're not really looking to stretch the posterior chain, muscles in the back of the body. We're just warming. When you come back to the center, you can cross your legs the opposite way again. Ooh, very fancy. And then reaching the arms wide, we'll do a touch of side to side before coming to the left side and gently pulsing to the left, exploring your way into this side lengthening movement. And when you're there, soft in the shoulders, lifting in the belly, you can roll the right shoulder backwards and then the right shoulder forwards. Opening your chest up towards the ceiling if you can, and then just rounding through the upper back. One more time, opening, and then coming the opposite way, reaching the right hand across the body, coming to rest slightly forward over the legs, rolling the shoulder blades towards each other, opening your chest. A gentle sway of the chest from side to side. It might feel differently if you have your legs crossed the opposite way round. And then if you feel you've got a bit more space, you don't have to, you can stay centered, you can stay swaying, but if you want to, you can lift your belly just a touch more. Think about really lengthening out at the base of the spine and then folding a touch forward. You can even reach your hands more forward if you would like to. Keep them supportive and out to the side if you prefer. That lift in the belly, if you relax and then lift again, you might feel where that moves the sensation of length to. When you're ready, you can pad your hands back towards you, just coming into an upright seating position. I've been up on a wee block, but I'm going to pop that out of the way for now. And then we can uncross legs that have been crossed and stretch the feet out away from the body. Now, we've actually sat cross-legged for a relatively long period of time, so you might feel that you need to give your knees a little soften, or you can lean back on your hands, bend your knees just a touch and roll at your ankles. Just allowing a little bit of movement through the legs. And this has a great effect of also helping to get the blood flow back into the extremities. We can go the opposite way as well as lubricating the knees, the hips, the ankles, and the feet, which is lovely. Very good. So here we're going to move into our hands and knees position. So just whenever you're ready, I've got a little bit of chalk on my mat today, just because I find it useful for so not slipping, if that makes sense. And I've got my blocks at the ready. I'm going to move them slightly further ahead because we don't need them immediately. We're going to come into our hands and knees position, but we want to just do one more thing for the wrists before we do. So drawing the right fingertips back towards the body as you lengthen your left arm away. Oh, sorry, your right arm away. The left arm is lengthened as well. We want to avoid shrugging the shoulders up here. So if you find your shoulders creeping up, usually that means that you are asking too much of your body and you've created tension. So we want to find ease with a nice relaxed shoulders, maybe a gentle pulsing of this elbow, a little straighter, a little softer. And at the same time, finding that length across the inside of the right wrist. And then when you're ready, you can go to the other side through the gesture of Namaste. And then again, softening the shoulders down, just seeing if a little bit of pulsing works here. It might be that you prefer to hold stillness. You might get a little twisting, perhaps, just a wriggle of any kind. Nice and soft in the breath and the face and the shoulders. And then when you're ready, bringing the hands back together. Press the heels of the hands towards each other. The fingertips can be apart and then just snapping apart. Pressing the heels of the hands and snap apart. Press the heels of the hands, snap apart. Shake them out. Very good. Aces. So we're coming into hands and knees. If you need something under your knees, put it there. And we want to use Hasta bandhas. So we want to be spreading the fingers as much as we feel comfortable doing without strain, and making sure that our fingertips are engaging down. The vast majority of our weight is always going to be in the heel of the hand. But what we want to do is find some balance so that we're not just in the heel of the hand. So we engage the fingertips a little bit, which helps us to bring the weight into the center of the hand. And then it's almost like you're scooping the hand slightly away from the floor, like you were trying to create a touch of buoyancy underneath the palm of the hand. And then here in our hands and knees position, we are simply going to press the tops of the feet or the toes into the floor, tops of the feet down, and scoop the belly in, press the mat away from you with the hands as well. Think about lifting in the belly and the pelvic floor, simply switching that on, and then softening to relax. Engaging the belly and the pelvic floor. And gently relaxing. It helps sometimes to breathe out as you engage, so breathing in. As you breathe out, engaging the belly, the pelvic floor, maybe gradually engage the belly as you finish your exhalation. A little bit more. And relax one more time, breathing in. Breathing out, engaging the belly and the pelvic floor. Very good. Just walking your hands back towards you and coming up into an upright position. As we work today, I may not always say it, although I'm quite fond of saying engage your belly and your pelvic floor, but that is the kind of engagement we want to have most of the time through our practice. I'll let you know when we don't need it, but trying to just have the awareness of that. Give your wrists a little shake out if they need, and then coming back onto the hands and knees, engaging your Hasta bandhas, fingertips down, and scooping that center of the palm up. We're going to roll the shoulders while we engage the belly and pelvic floor. So we're looking for some movement, some sense of gliding the shoulder blades around on the back of the body. And if it's helpful, you can move in your head as well. We're going to roll the opposite way. If you prefer, you can keep your head still. This is a really nice way to improve mobility in your upper back. Very good. When you're ready, coming to center and then pressing the feet down, engaging the belly and the pelvic floor, we're going to do some cat-cows. As you inhale, glide the shoulder blades down and open your chest. Maybe your tailbone lifts a little. As you exhale, rounding through the spine, scooping the belly in, chin to chest, and lifting the back of the body as high up as you can. And then gently inhaling forward. Soften the elbows just to glide the shoulder blades down, thinking about broadening your chest. And then scooping the belly in, rounding through the spine, lifting the back of the body, chin to chest. Going from this open-fronted position to a rounded backed position. With your breath, you might like to move your breath in the opposite way. It might coordinate better for you that way. That's all good. Doesn't matter which of these you choose. We'll do one more. And then we're going to walk the hands back towards the knees so we can come into an upright position and move the knees towards each other and then step the right foot forward. So we're coming into our lunge. We're going to start with the blocks for support. I'm going to put a little something under my left knee as well. And the blocks can go anywhere that's useful for your hands. So they don't need to be particularly far forward. We're allowing the hips to swing forwards and backwards. And that front foot, we can alternate between allowing the heel to extend so the toes come back towards the body and allowing the toes to extend so we open that front of the ankle. Here again, we're exploring movements. We're not necessarily wanting the fullest extreme of movements. We're not hanging out at any particular point until a few moments from now. But definitely not in the forward position. The next time your hips come back the way, you can allow them to stay there and just give a gentle wiggle from side to side. It helps here to create that lift in the belly so you get a sense of length with the back of the body. And then when you're ready, you can come back to the center, come back to your upright lunge, and we do the same thing but without the blocks. So from this lunge, we're going to reach the hands forward, opening the front of the body, and then reach the hips and the hands back as we lower the chest and head down. Reaching forward, opening the front of the body, and then reaching back. This requires a little bit more balance, so a little bit more engagement with the legs, and certainly with the center of the body, the belly and the buttocks. Let's do two more. Opening the chest as well. Ooh, she said. Lengthening through the back of the body. Opening the chest. Lengthening through the back of the body. Coming back to an upright position and just observing the effect of our practice. We're going to keep this more upright position, so we don't really want to be into our lunge here, but at the same time, tucking the tailbone under and seeing if you can feel length down the left side of your body, particularly the front of the pelvis. And then just gently releasing, and then tucking the tailbone under, seeing if you can engage with that strength, and release. One more time, tucking the tailbone under, and release. Great job. Let's come back to our kneeling position. Swap any support you have to the opposite side, and then step your left foot forward. Do the whole thing on the left. We're going to reach for our blocks first, and just gently swing the hips backwards and forwards, exploring the space in the body and alternating that front foot between extending through the heel and extending through the toes, using the belly muscles, thinking about using the legs. The way we shift our weight from one to the other shouldn't be passive in the legs, it should be quite active. There's no real should in yoga, but hopefully it's quite active. That's what I mean. The next time your hips come back the way, we're going to hang out there and just give a little wiggle from side to side. It helps to lift in the belly here so you can get a bit more length in the back of the body. Remember that your left leg doesn't need to be straight. And then when you're ready, you can come to a more upright position. She says. Coming back to our upright lunge, we do the same swinging, but with our arms. So we're going to lift the arms forward as the hips come forward, opening the chest. And then as the hips come back, reach the hands back as well. Maybe the chest coming forward. Doesn't need to be a massive movement. This requires much more of our core strength. So we are focused on the legs offering support by pressing into the mat, on the belly muscles working, on the pelvic floor. Let's do one more. And then coming to this upright proposal position. Here we don't want the hips to be forward, we want to be quite upright, and we're focused on tucking the tailbone under as we lift in the belly, feeling that extra length down the front of the right side of the pelvis, and just release. And then tucking under, don't need to force, just explore what feels good. And then release. And one more time, tucking under and release. Awesome sauce, guys. We are going to give ourselves a moment in child's pose. So the knees can go wide if that suits you. They can be together if you prefer. Hips come to the heels and just reaching the hands forward. If you need a little bit of support for your head, fold your arms at your elbows. That's a really nice thing to do, even if you don't need it. You can explore if that feels like a nice supported, perhaps a slightly softer version of the posture. Maybe it's the right thing for you in this moment. Perhaps you prefer to have the forehead on the floor. There's no right or wrong, just choose a variation that suits you at the time. You might give your hips a little wiggle from side to side if that feels good. You might turn your palms upwards. If that feels nice across the shoulders, it's a slightly different opening. Here, the belly muscles are relaxed. The pelvic floor can even relax a little, although a touch of engagement is what helps us to avoid accidents. A couple of deeper breaths. When you're ready, you can pad your hands back towards you and come back into your upright position. Now I'm going to change my orientation to be this way round, and perhaps actually bring myself a block close to hand on either side, which would be quite useful. So we are going to come into doing some poses with one leg working and one leg underneath the body. So if you want a bit of support underneath your standing knee, then you can have that. Absolutely. We're going to start with moving the left leg first, just because that's the way I've set up. So we want to come into our hands and knees position, but with the right knee supported, the knees quite close together, our hasta band is in place, and then we're going to do tiger pose. So pressing into the right foot, lifting the left heel up as you look forward, and then rounding through the spine, nose to knee, heel to buttock, chin to chest. Inhaling forward, that lift in the belly and the pelvic floor, and exhaling as you round, scooping up, scooping in. Inhaling forward, nice and soft across the elbows, just a touch of softness rather. Scooping up and in. Let's do one more. Inhaling and exhaling. Coming back to a more neutral spot, you don't need to crane your chin forward. You can just keep your head in line with your spine. We're going to start making circles with that knee that is off the floor. So a little circling in one direction or another. Doesn't matter where you start, make your circles steadily bigger if you have an opportunity to do that, for the space and strength to be able to support that. When you're ready, you can circle in the opposite direction, just starting small, thinking about the strength of the arms, maybe pressing the hands into the mat and apart from each other, pressing your right foot into the floor, making the circles a little bit bigger if you have the strength and opportunity to do so. Very good. When you're ready, you can take your left leg and just lengthen it behind you and pop it down to the floor. And then here we're sliding the left foot towards the left hand, making a semicircle around the body, and then sliding the left foot across the body behind you to the right side. As it goes to the right, look to the right so that you almost bring your right shoulder towards your left foot, get a little bit of length down the left side of the body, and a little bit of firmness across the belly. Sliding the left foot along the floor towards the left hand. It doesn't have to even reach anywhere near the hand. And then back around the body to the right. Nice and firm across the center. Let's do one more like this. Super. Then for anyone who wants to, you can lift your left foot up and over, and then lift up and over behind you. Little rainbow action of the left foot. Up and over, pressing the hands apart from each other to keep the chest nice and engaged, engaging through the belly muscles as well. The next time your foot goes behind you to the right, we're going to spin the right foot to the right, take the weight onto the right hand, and just make the left arm go around the body in a circle, or 2 or 3. So doing as many as feels good. We're pressing into both feet, lifting in the belly muscles, creating space underneath the body in this baby wild thing. When you've done 3, that left hand can come back to the floor as you spin on your knee. And then we're going to swing the left foot up and over all the way to the left hand. And then here, we've got a block stand, which is quite nice. Our feet are a little bit more open, left foot sort of pointing out to the left side. And we can do a little bit of diagonal lunging. So diagonal lunging movement, feels so lovely. Just a little bit of back and forwards. Firm in the belly muscles. And then when you're ready, you can allow your left knee and even rolling to the outside of your left foot if you would like to take a bit of a lizard here. So I would like to bring my right hand towards the floor, maybe a little bit lower than that, maybe all the way to the floor, and just look to the left side. Firm in the belly as I open the chest towards the left side, and I can lean into this as much as feels comfortable for my body. What I don't want to do is hang out at the very extreme of the movement. So feeling that I'm pulling on ligaments or tendons that are uncomfortable doing that. I want to gently pulse in and out, supporting with the belly muscles. You can even tuck the toes under on the back leg, lift your knee, and just give yourself a little pulse there as well, if it feels good to do so. When you're ready to come back to center, placing the right knee down, rolling your left foot back to the floor, and we're going to gently ease back with the hips so that we can bring the knee back to center. And as we kneel tall, just feeling the difference between the 2 sides of the body, we're going to swap any support for the knee to the opposite side, give our wrists a little bit of a wriggle or a shake as needed, and then come to do that all on the other side. So we take the hands to the floor first, and we begin with our tiger pose. So we're pressing the left foot down now, firm in the belly, hasta bandhas, and then lifting the right heel up behind us as we inhale, gliding the shoulder blades down, opening the chest. Exhale, rounding through the spine, scooping the belly in, heel to buttock, nose to knee, chin to chest. Inhaling forward. And exhaling, rounding, scooping, lifting. Inhaling, opening the front of the body, gliding the shoulder blades down. Exhaling, creating space underneath the body. Lovely job. And this time we're going to lengthen that right leg and draw, we're going to bend still at the right knee, and we're going to make little circles with the right knee. Please excuse me. So right knee making circles, they can get steadily bigger. The head is in a neutral position, still pressing into the hands, firm in the belly muscles, doing whatever feels good to you in this moment. And then the opposite way. So just circling the opposite way, really feeling like you're supporting across your center. Gradually allowing those circles to become bigger if you feel the strength and support to do it. And then when you're ready, you can lengthen your right leg behind you. Draw the right toes towards the right hand, maybe looking slightly to the right, and then draw the right toes to the left side of the body. Allow the left shoulder to move towards the right toes. Little turn of the head perhaps in that direction, nice and firm across the buttocks, the belly, sorry, and the pelvic floor. So right foot to the right, doesn't matter how far forward it comes, right foot to the left. Nice and firm in center. Going just side to side. This time, if you wish to, you can lift that leg up and over. So you're really pressing the hands into the floor and apart from each other to keep the chest open. You're still moving through your neck as well. I can't remember how many we've done, so we'll do one more forwards and backwards. The next time the foot goes behind us, we're going to spin our left foot into that direction, press into the left hand, reach the right arm up, and do some nice big circles around the body. So we're creating space underneath the body with this lift, pressing into both feet, firming the belly, firming the buttocks now, of course, as well. 3 lovely circling actions, so you really get that sense of wild thing. And when you're ready, you can bring your right hand to the floor, spin your legs back to a more neutral position. We're going to bring the right foot towards the right hand. It just stays a little bit wider than the right hand itself. We can use both blocks underneath our hands, come into a more upright lunge, but with the knee pointing in that diagonal position and just swinging the hips backwards and forwards as well. I think we might have done that side in a slightly different order. It doesn't matter, we get there in the end. Just a gentle swing of the hips, exploring this slightly different position. So you can feel different things across the inner thighs, perhaps on this side. When you're ready, you can take your left hand perhaps a little closer to the floor, maybe even roll to the outside edge of your right foot and turn the right knee out, or open the inside of the right thigh and just open yourself towards that side of the body. Gentle turn of the chest towards that side, really firm in the buttock of the left leg. You can, if you want to, press into the left foot and just lift the knee. Opening your chest as much as feels comfortable, a nice lift in the belly. And when you're ready, you can bring this knee down and then just ease the hips back a little bit. Bring both knees together and come into an upright kneeling position. So we're going to take, again, a nice child's pose here. So if you prefer to be lying flat, absolutely, please lie flat. If you prefer to have your knees together and take your child's pose with your hands back towards your heels, this can be a really nice way to soften across the shoulders. But I find it a bit constrictive sometimes, so I'm going to go knees wide and arms relaxing away. The opportunity here is just to find a little softness across the belly muscles, perhaps an easing of the effort across the pelvic floor. Softness across the shoulders. You can even turn your palms upwards if your hands are released away from the body in front of you. Relax the weight of the head into the floor. Take some slower, deeper breaths. Whenever you're ready, coming into an upright position again, and just easing off anything that needs easing off. So I'm finding my wrists are feeling great today, but if yours aren't, just giving them a little bit of a shakeout. And you can, as we practice, use, particularly if you've got yoga blocks and you find that being on your hands all of the time is just a little bit uncomfortable, you can actually put your forearms on your blocks. And that gives you just about the right kind of lift to be almost in that hands and knees position. And oftentimes this will do. A chair A seat is also a really nice thing to use. So you can be kneeling in front of a chair seat with your forearms on the chair seat and do all of the hands and knees postures from there as well. So let's come to doing a little bit of bird dog, and we're also going to move that into a gate pose as well. So I'm not sure about these ones. I'm going to put them on this side. We'll see how we go. So we're going to come onto hands and knees. And actually, yes, I will support my right knee because that feels like the right thing to do today. A little lift in the belly and the buttocks. And we're going to start with just trying to find that neutral spine. So you can give your hips a little wiggle side to side, up and down. Do a few cats if you feel comfortable doing that. And then when you're ready, we want to have a sensation of pushing the floor away from us, but keeping a touch of softness across the elbows, lifting in the pelvic floor and the belly muscles, pressing the right foot into the floor, either toes or top of the foot, doesn't matter. And then looking slightly ahead of your mat, we're going to just slide the right foot back and slide the left hand forward. So we're still touching the floor with both of those limbs, and we're going to slide them back to center, re-establish our neutral spot, re-establish that lift in the belly and the pelvic floor. Then when you're ready, sliding your right foot back, your left foot back, sorry, and your right hand forwards, holding just as you breathe, and then sliding back to center. We want to have control over this movement so that we don't really feel like we're moving the pelvis at all. It might move slightly, but trying to resist that movement. So from our neutral spot, sliding the left foot back, sliding the right hand forward. And then this time, if it feels good and you feel strong, you can lift both of those limbs. So here, it doesn't benefit us to lift beyond the shoulder height or hip height. So you don't want to make a back bend. You want to be reaching away. And that is because that creates the longest lever, and we have to create the most strength to hold the body in that position. And then we're going to release down. Take a moment here to give yourself a sassy cat. Maybe you want to turn the back of the left hand to the floor as well, just to ease that wrist. So a little sassy cat, sideways action, or round and round. And then when you're ready, coming back to that neutral position, finding that lift, finding that centered engagement, sliding left leg and right hand away to the furthest point on the mat first, and then lifting and holding for 5 deep breaths. Or fewer, if fewer is what you have the strength for today. That's not a problem at all. Nice engagement through the belly. Softness through the back of the neck. As you exhale, lowering the left hand and right foot to the floor, bringing the knees towards each other, and we'll just come off the wrists for a moment. You can either sit back on your heels here, or you can kneel up or sit in a different position. It doesn't matter what you do, just rolling the wrists. That left side has been really strong, so you might feel the engagement down that left side of the body into the shoulder. And it's okay to feel that engagement as long as it doesn't, as long as it can be released, if that makes sense. So doing anything that feels good here, dancing shoulders, maybe a little wriggle of the head, and then we're going to pop that block, if you're using a support underneath your knee, just to the other side, so we can do the whole thing to the other side. Coming to hands and knees, finding first your neutral spot. So you might need to wriggle your hips a little bit, and then from neutral, really pressing the mat away from you, keeping a touch of softness across the elbows, pressing the left foot into the floor, sliding the right foot back and the left fingers forward. We're still on the floor here. We're not lifting. We're just seeing what switches on to hold this. And then we're sliding back to center, finding that neutral spot. Giving yourself a wiggle if a wiggle is needed. Firm in the belly and the pelvic floor, sliding the right foot back and the left hand forward. Just noticing if you're feeling rigid across the shoulders or the neck. Notice what you can feel that you can move while maintaining that strength. Coming back to the center, giving yourself a wriggle in any direction. From neutral, lifting and engaging, pressing down with the left foot, sliding the right foot back, left hand forward. I think we did lifting after 3, didn't we? So here, if you wish to, you can lift the right foot and the left hand up. Trying not to lift too high, but noticing what's engaging, how it differently engages, and then releasing down. Giving yourself a moment here, you might want to turn the back of the right hand to the floor, give yourself a really sassy cat. It's nice to be able to release a little bit the effort in the belly muscles in between, and then coming back for our final hold for 5 breaths if we can, pressing everything into the floor, firming that space underneath the body, lifting in the pelvic floor, sliding back the right foot, left hand forward, lifting to our extended lengthened position and holding for 5 breaths. Now, everyone here in this class can do this, but if you are doing this on the video and you need to keep your hand down or your foot down, or you need to just have both the hand and the foot on the floor, you can absolutely do that. Check you're not rigid in the neck. One more deep breath in, and as you breathe out, releasing down. We're going to just give ourselves a little sassy cat to both sides of the body. Sassy cat is just moving in cat pose, but in every different direction. And then coming off the knees and just giving, off the hands, just giving the wrists a little shake. All good. Fantastic stuff. So we have done a variety of poses here that have used this unilateral or often diagonal line across the body, a functional fascial line across the body. And we're going to continue to use that, but come into gate pose to do it. So we're going to start with bird dog, but we're going to put the block or support underneath the right knee, come into our hands and knees position, firm in the center. We're reaching the left foot back, and then here we're going to spin on our right knee to face sideways on the mat, or you could bring the left foot forward, but I have to spin to be sideways on the mat, so that we've got the left toes or foot in line with the right knee out to the side of the body. We can reach our hands forward as if we were doing our hands and knees position, but with our legs in this alternative position. Give yourself a little cat-cow here. So raising the back up and then gliding the shoulder blades down to open the chest. Raising the back of the body up, scooping the belly in, and then opening the chest. Here you can also take the hips back and then the hips a little bit forward, just finding a little play across this position of the legs. When you're ready, you can walk your hands back towards you and come into an upright position. So this is our basic position for gate pose. If your toes like to point slightly out to the side or all the way out to the side, that's okay. We are actually going to try this both ways, but you can find your own place in between or wherever it works for you. My block's going to come to the right side of my body, so it's ready. And then here we're firming the buttocks to have this sense that the hips are, the right hip is over the right knee, but also that the hips are forward. I haven't stuck my bottom out here. So the hips are forward. We've got a little openness across the left hip flexor as well. Take the arms out to the side and then draw the shoulder blades towards each other, but lengthen the fingertips away. Here, with the press into that right foot, we're going to reach the left hand down the left leg to open the right side of the body, and then reach the right hand to the block and reach the left arm over. So we're trying to stay sideways here. It sometimes helps to look that you're actually reaching sideways. You haven't curved forwards. Your bottom isn't sticking out. And then same as you reach over to the right, you're not folded forwards. You're not lengthening the bottom backwards. Nice and sideways. Let's do one more to each side. As you come up, we're going to come into that left hand lean and just hold, maybe even pulse gently here if it feels comfortable to do that. Again, thinking about easing the hips forward, engaging in the belly and the buttocks, and just holding for one more deep breath in and deep breath out. Then pressing into the legs as we cartwheel the hands over into our side bend to the right. Now here you might like to come a little bit deeper if you feel comfortable. You can even reach all the way to the floor. And here again, we want to find that sense of sideways length, perhaps drawing the left shoulder back a little bit to open the chest. For those who feel comfortable, you can ease that left foot from the floor and hold it out, flexed or pointed, doesn't matter which, you can do both if you like, nice and firm in the belly and the buttocks. For a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then we're floating that left foot back down, turning the left palm, up to the ceiling and coming buoyantly back to center. As we come back to center, we're going to soften the elbows down, keep the toes where they are, but turn your left heel in. And here we've done a lunge straight forward, we've done a diagonal lunge, and now we've got a sideways lunge. And we're just going to ease a little bit backwards and forwards through this left side. Here it really helps to support the knee. And then we do a slightly different movement here. So we're going to start from upright, bring the left forearm or elbow, whatever feels comfortable, down to the left thigh. And then we're just going to reach the right arm around the body in 3 big circles. As we take that right arm back, press into the left arm to open through the chest, open through the inner thighs. 3 times. So this is our number 2 time, pressing both feet into the floor, nice and firm in buttocks and belly. Beautiful rotation through the body. And when you're ready, coming back to center. And we're going to leave the toes pointing outwards and see if we can straighten that leg to the side. If that doesn't happen, that's okay. You can keep the knee a little bit soft. You can turn the toes a little bit in if you prefer. So perfect turnout, which I definitely don't have because my hips have just crept a little bit to the side. But perfect turnout is unusual in those who haven't done dance training. And even if you have, like I did a bit of dance training, it still isn't perfect now because I've not done it for years. So we want to firm the muscles of the legs. We want to firm the buttocks. The hips can point ever so slightly skew-whiffy if that feels good. Reach the arms out to the sides. Reach the fingertips away as the shoulder blades come towards each other. We're going to take the left hand down again towards the left leg, reaching up and over, and then taking the right arm down to the block, which you might need to change, reaching the left arm over. Coming back to center, nice and firm through the center, firm through the belly and the buttocks and the legs, making the body lighter to move as you move from center. One more time in each direction. This time we're going to just hang out here in our extended open position, rolling the chest perhaps up towards the ceiling, pressing into the top of the right foot, really engaging in the belly and the buttocks. And then when you're ready, you can reach your left hand all the way across your body. So you come to kneeling upright again, turning in the left toes, bringing the knees towards each other and settling back onto your heels to kneel or take a child's pose. We're actually going to do a little bit of, I think a downward facing dog would be quite nice here. So having done all of that action with our left side of the body being quite long, we're going to come to place the hands on the floor, tuck the toes and come up into downward facing dog. And you can make your down dog as wide as you need it to be. And by that, I mean feet away from hands as far as feels good to you. We don't need to ease the heels towards the floor, but we have a sense of dropping weight into the heels, maybe softening the knees, tipping the tailbone up, finding length in the back of the neck, and then just gently pressing the chest towards the thighs, pressing into the fingertips, maybe wiggling your hips from side to side. That's really nice to do with very softened knees. If you prefer to walk your dog, you can do a little bit of walking of the dog. Take a couple of deep breaths here. And then from down dog, we're going to come to plank pose. So pressing into the heels, but moving the shoulders over the hands. Maybe here, rolling the shoulder blades towards each other and opening your chest just a touch, looking slightly forward, and then pressing back to downward facing dog. You might need your dog to be just that little bit wider to make plank pose comfortable. From plank pose, this time softening the knees first, pressing off the tips of the toes or the balls of the feet to firm the belly, the legs, the buttocks, looking slightly forwards, firming that space between the shoulder blades, and then pressing back to downward facing dog. One more time, softening the knees, pressing off the feet to move the body forward, firming all the bits and pieces that help to support. And then when you're ready, you can let your knees, chest and chin or forehead come to the floor, and then take a little moment of rest, lying on your front, make a pillow out of the hands, toes towards each other, heels apart. A couple of deeper breaths. Let your belly muscles relax here. If you feel comfortable, you can give your hips a little bit of a wiggle if that feels good to you. Maybe one more deep breath in and sighing out. And then we're going to bring the hands underneath the shoulders, forehead to the floor. Come back onto hands and knees and take our block underneath the left foot. Oh, underneath the left knee, sorry. The block, the brick can stay to the right-hand side of the mat. And then here, we're coming into hands and knees again. We're going to reach the right foot back, lift the right foot, spin on our knees so that we come to doing gate pose on the long side of our mat, but with the right foot, the right leg lengthened out. So we start with our hands nicely spreading, doing a little cat-cow movement, just rounding through the spine, tucking under, and then opening the chest as we glide the shoulder blades down. Doing this just a handful of times. And then if you wish to, you can let the hips come back towards the heel and press the hips slightly forwards. Just a movement across that inner thigh area and the right side of the groin. I'm just going to move my block ever so slightly. And then when you're ready, you can bring your hands back to center and bring yourself upright. So our block is ready to hand on the left-hand side of the body. We've got the left hip centered over the left knee, the right toes pointing as far to the front as is possible for you, so that we can do it with the toes turned out shortly. So firming in the buttocks and the belly, reaching the arms out to the side. And we just begin with that gentle side bend to the right and then side bend to the left. And we're finding our way these first few bends. So we're just easing into that side and into the left side, making sure that we haven't stuck the bottom out or folded forward. We're really pressing the hips forward and opening the body. And then this time, we're just going to hang out to the right and spend a moment just going a little deeper into that side bend. Maybe rolling the left shoulder back, and firming the belly and the buttocks. Thinking about pressing the hips forward. And when you're ready to unwind, you can bring yourself all the way into your opposite side, reaching the arm away, perhaps even coming a little deeper into this pose, so you can reach towards the floor a little bit more. We still want to have the hip centered over the knee. We can open in the chest. We can reach the right arm over, whichever feels good. And then if it feels good, you can just make that right foot light, either pointing or flexing or doing a bit of both, and holding as you breathe. Harder than it looks. Particularly hard to talk and do at the same time, I have to say. And then gently float your right foot down to the floor, turn the right palm up and come back up to an upright position. We're going to leave the right toes where they are and just spin the heel in. So we come into this lunge position to the the right side of the body and just move ourselves gently in and out of this lunge. The shoulders can be as relaxed as you like. You can hold your arms out if you like. And we're just trying to experience a different sensation across the inner thigh area particularly. And the reason why we do this in different positions is because the muscles wrap around the bones. They don't just go up and down. So we're trying to access all different parts of our soft tissue. If you wish to, you can bring your right forearm or elbow to your right thigh and just reach your left arm around the body, opening the chest towards the ceiling, maybe 3 times. Lovely, beautiful pressing of the feet into the floor, firming of the buttocks and the belly. One more time. Very nice. And then as you come back to upright, you can simply lengthen your right leg as it is. If it feels comfortable, it can be soft in the knee. You can turn your toes slightly forward if you like. And we'll take a couple more of those sideways movements. So firm belly and buttocks, reaching the right hand down first, trying not to stick the bottom out, and then reaching over to the left side, lengthening away. Very nice. Reaching to the right, nice and firm in the buttocks, reaching to the left. Let's do one more. Pressing the left foot into the floor particularly, reaching to the left, and then here, just opening your chest towards the ceiling if that feels good. Coming back to center, we're going to just lean slightly forward to bring the knees back together and take a kneeling pose. So we've done an awful lot of movement with those parts of the body. And I would like us to come to do our downward dogs again. So if you need a bit more of a rest, if you want to rest in child's pose first, by all means, please do. We're going to place the hands onto the floor, just tucking the toes under, walking the feet a little bit further back so we've got room to do our planks. Soften the knees, maybe lifting the hips first and giving them a little wiggle, and then easing the heels towards the mat. Don't need to lengthen the legs straight. Keeping the knees soft or bent is perfectly acceptable. Relax the back of your neck as well. We're going to let the hips soften towards the heels just a touch to press off the toes and bring the shoulders forward, scooping the belly in, taking a plank pose, and then pressing back to downward facing dog, maybe widening your feet away from your hands ever so slightly if it feels like it would be helpful. Soft knees again, pressing off the feet, coming forward into your plank pose, and then pressing back to downward facing dog. Last one, soft knees, pressing forward to plank pose, and then from plank pose, knees, chest and forehead or chin to the floor. Take a moment to just create a pillow out of the hands, toes turned inwards, heels turned outwards. You can turn your head to one side if you prefer. Soften the effort across the shoulders, the belly, the buttocks. Maybe you wriggle the hips from side to side. Take a couple of deep breaths. Relax your face. Maybe sigh out through your mouth. If you're comfortable on the floor, you might just prop yourself up to have a look at what will happen next. If you wish to be more upright, you can of course push yourself more upright. And if you wish to come through a little child's pose to do that, by all means. So we are going to move our effort off the wrists now and come into dolphin pose. We've done a variety of poses today that are concerned with strengthening the core muscles. And dolphin pose is also, it can be done in 2 different ways, well, many different ways, but 2 different ways we're going to do it today. And the first strengthens more of the upper part of the back, so more from the waist upwards, in the front and back of the body. And the second variation is more around about the middle of the body, what we tend to think of as the core of the core. So for dolphin pose, we're going to cross the arms at the elbows, and you can join me whenever you're ready now. And then we want to have the upper arms held by the opposite hand. So we don't want to be slightly apart here or loosey-goosey in our arms crossed. We want the arms really into that space between the thumbs and the forefingers. We're going to place the elbows down on the mat and then leave the elbows exactly where they are and just release the hands forward so that you can clasp the hands together. Or some people like to just turn the palms down or make the gesture of a gesture of namaste here. So anything you like. If you're interlacing the fingers, just tuck your little finger, the outside little finger, into the center of the palms as well. We want to not allow the elbows to travel away from each other. So we're actively drawing the elbows in, but at the same time, we're turning the wrists to be open. So it's moving the arms in two different directions. We're engaging the upper arms to draw the elbows together, but we want to keep the wrists open. Here, we're just taking the feet a touch back. So when you lift your hips up and lengthen through your legs, you've got a nice pointy bottom. It's pointing right up into the air. You can even bring your feet a little bit further forward. The further forward your feet are, the more effort comes into the upper part of the back. So here we're relaxing the back of the neck, the legs extended, the heels are dropping towards the floor a little. You can soften your knees as much as you need to and lift your tailbone up to the sky. Scoop the belly in. And you can just hold here. It is challenging enough to build strength steadily over time. Or you can look forward and bring your weight forward over the hands, and then look back and draw your weight more towards the feet. And it's the shoulders that are moving forward towards the hands and moving back, perhaps even behind the elbows slightly. The scoop in of the belly, pressing into the legs, lifting in the pelvic floor, really engaging in the upper body. You've got no choice but to do that. Let's do one more. This would make it 5. And then those who have had enough can rest. And those who need to can adjust their elbows slightly closer together if they've come apart. Doing 5 more if you feel able to do so. If you feel that this is not challenging enough, or if you've got more challenge to have, then you bring your feet together and lift one leg up. So you do a 3-legged dolphin. And of course, if you're doing it on one side, you need to do it also on the other. Just one more after this one. I think that's technically 11. But when you have finished, drawing the knees to the floor, relaxing the hips back to the heels, forehead can come to the floor, and hands can rest down to the feet. So here, the back is more rounded. If that doesn't feel like the child's pose that's right for you, then taking an alternative relaxation pose. An alternative variation of child's pose, lying flat on the belly or sitting upright. Relax the effort through the middle of the body, through the chest and shoulders, the neck, the face. Take a deep breath in. Sigh out through the mouth. When you're ready, just rolling yourself up to an upright position. Or if you're lying down, you can stay lying down and just watch. So our tighter V version of dolphin pose, you can feel it across your chest, your shoulders, your upper arms, your upper back. You might even, if you're holding tension in an unhelpful way, you might feel it in your neck as well. And that often happens when we're watching a screen. So if you can, as you come back to practice dolphin, particularly in online classes, try not to crane your neck to look at the screen. Try to keep the head centered. So 10 dolphins, or we did 11, is a really nice place to aim towards if you're not there. If you can do 10, then aim for 20. If you can do 20, aim for 30. And 30 is enough. 30 is enough. Nobody needs to do more than 30 dolphins in a day. I'm going to give you an alternative dolphin to do as well. This is a longer line of the body. So if you're not familiar, just watching, we cross the arms again, but because we want to balance, we cross the awkward way. So cross the way you normally would, and then move one of the arms. And then elbows come down onto the mat, but we're going to walk the elbows forward. So we've got much more space between the elbows and the knees. Open the hands and interlace the fingers the opposite way as well. Tucking in the bottom finger or placing the hands flat if you prefer. We're trying to keep the elbows moving towards each other, but the wrists moving open. We tuck the toes and lengthen the heels towards the mat, lengthening the legs, hips up. And now we've got much more space between our feet and elbows, so we make a much more obtuse angle in our pointy bottom area. So here, as we come forward, pressing off the toes, drawing the shoulders forward, scooping the belly in, we almost come flat to plank. And then coming back. If you want to come flat to plank and you don't quite, you can step your feet back a little further. We're still pressing the chest back towards the thighs and the pointy bottom area, scooping the belly in and activating the buttocks, shoulders forward, but almost flat into a plank, really pressing into the forearms, but engaging across the center of the body. And we have done 2, so we can do 3 more or 4 more, as the case may be. Just gently forwards and backwards. And when you have done your first 5, if you feel that you've got more in you, then you might like to do 5 more. And if you feel you need the extra challenge, feet together, 1 leg raised, 3-limbed dolphin or 1-legged dolphin. If you do it on one side, being sure to also do it on the other. Nice and firm across the center, making sure your head moves as a natural part of your movement. I think we've got 1 more left. And then knees to the mat, forehead to the floor, reaching the arms back to the heels, or taking an alternative child's pose or resting pose. In whatever resting pose you're in, softening the effort across the shoulders, the center of the body, the face, the jaw. Finding your long, deep breaths. Sighing out through the mouth if you like, if that feels good to you. And when you feel your heart rate easing and the effort dissipating, you can bring yourself back into an upright position. Awesome sauce. So you'll be very pleased to know that that is our last super active pose of the day. And it's a really nice place to finish because we feel so engaged through the upper body. But perhaps here we can give our shoulders a little bit of a roll. You don't have to kneel, you can sit anywhere you like. Maybe give the sides of the body a little wriggle. Maybe give yourself a little hug. And then open chest, hug, and open chest. For relaxation today, we are going to ease our way down, do a touch of twisting in the reclining position, and then just simply settle. So be sure to have your blanket to hand. And if you like something underneath the back of your knees, then you could have your bolster to hand as well. I'm just going to grab mine, which is just over here. Of course, if you need to make any other movements, when we come to relaxation that we haven't done, feel free to do so. The movement I'd like to do is just sort of stretch my legs out a little bit, have some juice. Excuse me. So as I come to lie down on the mat, just wanting to think about lengthening the legs, maybe waving the feet from side to side, maybe making some ankle circles so that the hips can roll in the hip joints. Maybe reaching the arms, doing a little side stretching while I'm here on the floor, which is very nice. And then bending the knees into the chest, making any movements that feel good, perhaps a little roll of the knees in one direction, massaging out. I don't have any tension in my low back, but if you do, then perhaps doing that and going in the opposite direction as well. When you're ready, you might like to have the feet down on the floor with the feet really nice and wide, firm across the belly muscles, relaxing the arms wide and just letting the knees sway from side to side. If that doesn't feel comfortable, of course, just making movements that feel good to you. The next time your knees go down to your right side, you might like to let them hang out there. And if it feels good, you can encourage the inner left foot and thigh towards the floor. And if it feels good, you might rest the right foot on top of the outside of the left thigh. So you provide a little bit of traction across the hip here. And when you're ready, you could reach the left arm out to the side or maybe even up, as long as the elbow, wrist, and shoulder are all supported. Taking a couple of deep breaths, just feeling a little release across the left side of the body there. Softening the features of your face. Maybe sighing out through the mouth. When you're ready, you can uncross your legs, draw your left arm back to your left side and sway the knees back to center. Just observing gently a little sway from side to side again to ease out any tension or stiffness. And then when you're ready, or effort rather, when you're ready, you can let the knees come down on the left side. If it feels like the right thing to do, you can encourage the inner right foot and thigh towards the mat. If it feels like you've got space and you'd like to do a little bit more, resting the left foot on the outside of the right thigh. And then if that feels good, you can reach the right arm away from the body, maybe even out to the side or over the head, making sure the wrist, elbow, and shoulder of the right arm are all supported by the floor. All releasing into the floor. And a couple of deep breaths, just feeling that space and openness down the right side of the body. Remembering to soften the features of your face. Sighing out through the mouth if it's useful. You can uncross your legs when you're ready. Release your right arm back to a more neutral place, firm in the belly to bring the knees back to the center. Just a little gentle twist from side to side. And if it feels good, you can again bring the knees into your chest and give them a little rock and roll, or hold them and simply turn the head from side to side, which is a really nice thing to do as well. We are going to let the feet come up towards the ceiling. You don't need to hold your knees here with your effort. If you want to, you can just hold the backs of the thighs. If you prefer to hold with your core muscles, you can absolutely do that. Nice soft knees, just rolling the ankles a few times in either direction or both directions. And then if you wish to, just waving the soles of the feet as if they were waving at the ceiling, so that you can just give your hip joints a little wiggle as well. If you like to, you can make little circles with the feet going in the same direction, just to move the knees and go the opposite way as well, all whilst keeping the back of the pelvis nice and steady on the floor. And then when you're ready, knees to chest again. And we're preparing for relaxation. So if you've got things to hand, supports to hands, then popping them in place. And if you've got your blanket, which I hope you do, then just having it in a place that means that you can get all nice and cozy. And whilst you might have been quite warm during class, we always cool down during relaxation. It's always worth having an extra layer or two. If you're using something underneath the backs of the knees, make sure your heels are on the floor so you can get that sense of release. And you could also put your feet up on a chair or do legs up the wall as an alternative here, if you prefer, or straight shavasana, no problem at all. Allow your body to land in whichever position you are choosing today. We've made such a lot of effort through the class that sometimes we can take that into relaxation. So let us do a tense and relax through the body. Tensing the muscles of the right foot and leg, holding the leg off the support or off the mat, holding tense, 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 and drop down as you release. Tensing the muscles of the left foot and leg, holding the leg up, holding it tense, 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 relax and drop down. Squeezing the buttocks and lifting the hips up. Really squeeze towards the sky and drop. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other, lift the chest up, really lift the chest, really draw those shoulder blades together and then drop. Make tight fists out of the hands and lift your arms just off the mat where they are. Shrug your shoulders up towards your ears. And then press them down towards your hips. Spread the fingers as wide as you can and drop the arms to the floor. Press your low back down into the mat. And at the same time, think about lengthening even the back of the neck down, keeping your head on the floor, but having the intention to move the whole spine downward. Hold this as you breathe. And relax. Make a tight lemon-sucking face. Squeeze all the muscles in towards the nose. Then eyes open, mouth open, tongue out, exhale. And relax. Let's do that one more time. Squeeze all the muscles of the face in towards the nose. Then eyes open, mouth open, tongue out, exhale. Close your eyes. Swallow deeply. Relax your tongue and gently turn your head from one side to the other. Maybe a couple of times in each direction, easing any residual tension out of the neck and shoulders. When you're ready, bringing yourself back to center, taking one last deep breath in and gently sighing through the mouth. As you surrender your weight down into the floor. Allow your breath to find its natural rhythm. Falling into quietness. Soften your forehead. Feel that space between the eyebrows expanding. Release the area around your eyes. Relax your mouth and tongue, jaw and shoulders. Allow the whole body to be heavy, warm, supported and releasing down. Allow your body to soften a little deeper with every exhalation.
Gently begin to deepen your breath, bringing your awareness back into your hands and your feet by moving your fingers, your toes, maybe rolling your wrists and your ankles. When you feel ready, you can take a deep breath in and stretch the body in any way that feels good, baby. Stretching through the sides of the body. Oh, maybe gently turning the head from side to side. In your own time, you can bring your knees towards you, maybe just the feet resting on top of the bolster and swaying the knees a little, or drawing the knees all the way in, making any movements that feel good to your body. When you feel ready, you can gently turn yourself to one side. If you prefer to come straight up to sitting, you can absolutely do that. If you have the opportunity to rest on your side for a moment, you can create the intention to maintain this sense of stillness, peacefulness, quietness, to contain it, to keep it available to use throughout the week. When you're ready, you can come to any comfortable upright position, keeping the eyes gently closed if it's okay, bringing the palms together at the center of the chest. Lifting your chest and then taking your chin towards your chest. Here, giving yourself a gentle smile and remembering that throughout our practice we were working with our inner strength, strength we can draw from whenever we need it, a strength that can bolster our happiness, our patience, our tolerance, our joy. When you're ready, gently raising your head and opening your eyes. Thank you so much for joining in this practice today, and for those of you who are completing it online as well. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again. Namaste.